What is going on, gentlemen? Do you ever feel like you're not as strong, fast, or energetic as you were in your 20s? My name's Coach Pat. Today, we're going to be breaking down the real reasons men in their late 20s and early 30s lose their edge, and what we can do to get it back based on science. Right? If you don't know by now, I am a strength conditioning coach at a Division III college, as well as run my own business called Fairy Performance. As you enter those late 20s, early 30s, a couple things have happened, right? Since you've got out of high school, college, whatever you may have been, right? You may have a family now, work's taking a priority, you got less free time. Now, that's some stuff to keep in count, but some of the big things why we should be training and weights, running, whatever it may be, right? Now, more than ever, we're at higher risks of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, right? All that stuff, especially if you're predisposed with family illnesses. It's something to keep in mind, right? Now, with the family stuff, there's other things too, right? You want to be a leader for your family. You don't want to be, that dad that's in a wheelchair by 45, 50, or just struggling to, play with your kids, play with your grandkids, whatever it may be. All right, so that's why we take this stuff important. Some other things is, right, you're in the prime of your life, right? Once you're in that, mid 30s, you're kind of, hey, everything's going now. Like we're fully into it. You don't want it to be a constant battle with everything else going on, right? If you can take care of yourself in those late 20s, early 30s, you're setting yourself up for huge amounts of success, whether it's business related, family related, just health related, right? That's going to be the key to getting us to where we want to be down the road, and it all starts now with the simple stuff. All right. Next, we're going to talk about some 3 pillars of regaining the edge. Pillar number 1 is going to be strength matters, and it's all about quality over quantity. Gone are the days where you're going to be in the gym 5-6 days. You still can, but you got to do it differently because you're in a different place in your life now. So strength matters, quality over quantity, right? Most people are going to be better off just doing the compound lists 2-3 times a week, right? You're going to touch on full muscle recruitment, especially when you're in that heavier rep range with the lower rep range, heavier weights. So we're going to have better muscle recruitment. We're going to increase testosterone through our hormonal response because it's going to be ramping it up, thinking we need to adapt to this or we're going to die, right? That's how the human body works. We adapt to what's called stress. Now it goes back to the family's a stress, the work's a stress, training's a stress, right? So we need to know how to balance all that, and the easiest way to balance it is by adjusting what we do in the weight room. You don't need to spend the hours, right? Again, 2 to 3 sessions a week, hitting those heavier movements. You can hit a few accessory movements, and by accessory I mean some cable rows, some extra benching, whatever it may be, some leg extensions. So those are our accessory movements, but we're going to be focusing on the squat, the bench, the deadlift, some pull-up variations, right? Now, keyword is variations. You don't have to do what you might have done in high school football, where you're hitting those heavy back squats. Maybe nowadays, your knee might need an adjustment, or your lower back might need an adjustment for squats. So you might do something similar where it's going to help you relieve that, but you're not going to do that. But those kind of bigger things are going to be what creates that hormonal response that we need, right? Don't need junk volume, right? We don't need to be doing 13 different movements for your chest. Trust me, you don't. Just hit some heavy things a couple times a week and you're good. Pillar 2, conditioning. Don't skip cardio. Don't need to run 6 miles a day, be on there for an hour, right? We can be smart. 2 things that I really like to incorporate with my clients and my athletes specifically when we're not working on specific training stuff is zone 2 cardio, which basically means we're doing easier cardio where I can kind of maintain a conversation the whole time through, right? It could be like, I like to do 30 minutes on an assault bike, get my upper body moving too, and I'll do that for about 30 minutes, and I sit at like 100 watts. So I know for me, like that's just about 120, 130 on my heart. So that's kind of perfect right where you want to be, is that kind of 120 to 150 range, 150 on the higher end, kind of can sit a little lower. And then high intensity interval training, sneak that in once a week maybe. Maybe you're playing a sport, so like let's say you're in a flag football league or a soccer league, or you practice martial arts, right? MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is huge. I was training that for a little bit, and that stuff's great. Whole different level of conditioning when you get into the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stuff. But something like that where it's gonna be, hey, go, stop, go, stop. You're not getting full rest, right? I don't think you need to do that every day. A lot of a lot of people think, oh, like these Orange Theories and whatnot are really good. Yeah, they're great for getting you back in, but sometimes you need something a little bit less intensity to help maintain with where you are in your life. So that's your pillar 2's conditioning. All right, recovery and lifestyle. Pillar 3, the secret weapon, right? Sleep, nutrition, stress management. That goes back to, hey, we can adjust what we do in the gym to accommodate our lifestyle, right? You got a really big work meeting that week, you're stressing, getting something ready, or you got a big family event that you're dreading to go through. Believe it or not, that's adding extra stress that you have to recover from. So training maybe wants to be a little bit lighter. Maybe you take a day out. Maybe you only do one exercise that day. You make the adjustments, and that's going to be the secret weapon, right? You listen to the body. When the body's beat up, you listen. Now, I have a rule where I do, if I'm really feeling like shit, I still go in and do whatever I'm supposed to do. Maybe I even just adjust it. Hey, I'm just going to do a warm-up today because I'm feeling bad. But I'm not skipping. Now, if I go back in for my next day and I'm still feeling that way, now I'm going to fully take that day off. Maybe I'll do my lighter cardio stuff day because light cardio, that zone 2 stuff, that helps us recover. Now it gets blood flowing, helps nutrients get to where it needs to be. That's a great way to recover. But yeah, most men in this age group, we're under-recovered and we're overtrained. Right? We're doing more than we need to do, especially because we're not considering what's going on in our life. So that's something to keep in mind. All right. Next, we're going to talk about some actual actionable tips and mistakes. Chasing old PRs without respecting recovery needs. Right. This goes back into being overtrained and under-recovered. We want to make sure that we are adjusting to what we need. Right. Now, your body might not be able to squat, bench, deadlift what you used to be able to do. So we need to know that. Right. If we try to push that, it's going to take us way longer to recover now than it would have when we were 15, 16, 17, right? We're kind of hitting that prime spot where we need to be a little bit smarter about what we're doing. Neglecting mobility and warm-ups, right? Mobility specifically is the best way to keep our body healthy, right? If you're hitting full range in your bigger lifts, you're probably touching on it, but there's some smaller things that can happen, right? If you're a previous athlete, you might know that athletes are the best compensators out there, right? So, maybe I have some hip tightness. Generally, that happens, and we need to make the adjustments, right? So maybe we add a little bit more mobility for our hip or some shoulder stuff, right? Whatever it may be, we sneak that stuff in. That's going to help us stay healthier and on it way longer, as well as easier warm-ups, right? Unless you have a pre-existing injury, your warm-ups can be simple. They don't need to be crazy, right? 5-10 minutes, whatever you need to get you ready. Protocol most people use is the ramp protocol. R's raise, A's activate, M's mobilize, and P's potentiate. Potentiate just basically means you're doing what you're about to do, but that's just a lesser intensity, and you're gradually building it back up. I like to do some lighter jumps, lighter sprint stuff, or med ball throws because I work with a lot of athletes, and I think it's just good to have the body moving that way, especially at this age that we were talking about. Yep, and then number 3 is going to be poor nutrition and inconsistent sleep. If we're consistently sleeping less than 8 hours, we're not doing our job. We need to be trying to get as much sleep as we can. I'll tell you what, during 2020 when there was the COVID thing, I was still in college at the time. I was finishing up, but I was getting 10 hours of sleep a day. And let me tell you, my weights were through the roof. My speed was as fast as I could have ever been. And then when I went to my final season of playing lacrosse, because I had so much time to build up in such a good way, which is not ideal for most people, and it's true, right? Not many people can get 10 hours of sleep. But I played the best I ever played because I was able to be as adapted as possible. All right, so nutrition, right? Eating enough protein, eating proper carbs, not eating a bunch of excess of bullshit, and then getting good sleep. So some tips there on how to make all that work is set realistic goals, right? 10 hours of sleep is probably not ideal for you. 230 grams of protein is probably not ideal for you, right? So make it so that it's attainable, right? Don't set 17 things in motion at once. Work on 3 to 4 things a month, and whatever's stuck through that month, keep it. If you can't handle the other thing, get rid of it. Find something new to add in there. Track progress, right? Track your weights, track your energy, track your mood. Do it consistently, right? Every day. Hey, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling shit. Most of the time, this is going to be our we're feeling great. Most of the time, we're going to be sitting right here, which is our middle, right? Here's feeling like shit. Most of the time, we're going to be in the middle, and that's fine. But just know where you are, right? Know, hey, I had a really big dip this day and came back up. Well, why'd that happen? Well, here I ate really shitty. I lifted heavier than I was supposed to, or I did more than I was supposed to. Cause that dip, right? So just be smart about that. find accountability. Get yourself a coach, a partner, a community, right? That's why a lot of people like those group training gyms, because it has the community in it, right? You don't have to find somebody. There's someone there. You have the coach. You have the people that are also doing it. You're all together. So something to keep in mind, right? Find somebody that's going to keep you accountable. All right. So lastly, I want to talk about a real life example of one of my clients. Now this was actually a female client, but the results are the same, right? 36. Not the most active client probably. Met them at a group gym actually. We ended up training for 3 years or so, to the point where she decided to do a marathon, a half marathon. She ran the half marathon. First time in her life that she completed a half marathon. First time in her life she did any of that without pain. There was a little bit of a calf issue that we had going on, but she was with someone that knows how to handle that. So we were able to negate that, and she was still able to run that half marathon. And now she has her next 2 planned out, right? So find someone accountable, that you can keep yourself accountable, and you can push yourself and get as best as you can. Lastly, regaining your edge isn't about doing more. It's about doing less smarter, right? So it's not about just throwing a bunch of stuff at us. It's about doing what we can do in the most effective way and knowing how to dial back or dial up as needed. All right. But feel free to comment what your biggest struggle is. I'm more than happy to help with that. Happy to respond. And then also you have free resources, right? I can give you, a workout template. I send out emails pretty often with tips and stuff. So I'll leave all that in the description below. Feel free to join. And then remember to subscribe if you'd like this fitness content for older men.